Rise and shine!
It's espresso time!
Hey, it's Evan Carmichael, and successful people don't wake up every morning saying, yes, I'm ready for success today. But when you have a morning routine that inspires you, like watching one of these videos, it will change your life. So let's start your day off right together, grab your coffee, and get ready for a shot of espresso from Warren Buffett.
I wake up every morning.
Espresso keep me going.
I wake up every morning.
The more you can create success rituals, processes, and systems, daily success rituals to activate your motivational centers, your emotional centers, and behaviors, the more you can create daily rituals of how you start a day, how you deal with stress during the day, how you plan your day, how you evaluate your day, how you follow through to the end of the day in a process that puts you in a cycle of success, the easier it becomes to achieve success and to make that the default mode of the brain. I'm going to repeat that. The more you learn how to create a success ritual for your day, your week, your month, your quarter, your year, the easier it becomes to reset the expectation point in your brain to be able to achieve that success. And here's what I learned from my mentors. There's a success ritual, all right, for reducing stress, for being healthier, whether it's spiritually, emotionally, physically, or mentally healthier. There is a success ritual if you own a business of what you should be doing, or if you have a job and you want to make extra money, what you should be doing. If you don't know the success rituals and processes and systems, you're going to ad lib, meaning you're going to fake it. You're going to try your best. And what I learned so many years ago was it was worth paying for specialized knowledge from experts, not from people who had opinions. If you want to make $1 million, whether it's net worth or in a year, the best thing to do is learn from somebody who's already made it or is making it right now. If you want to be healthy, find somebody who's healthy and follow their rituals, their processes, and their systems, and adapt them to your specific needs.
Success is habits. You are what you consistently do. If you've got goals, ambitions, motivations, dreams, like where do you want to be? Think about the future life that you want for yourself. How do you get there? Most people, what they'll default to doing is you go crazy for a day or go crazy for a week, and then you don't get the results that you want, and then you quit. Or you're gonna have much more success being the turtle, not the hare. Right? Where you go slowly, but every day, 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 even when it's boring, even when it's hard, even when you want to quit, you keep going, you keep making, you keep creating, you keep doing it, because that's how you're going to build the habit, that's how you're going to build the self-discipline, that's how you're going to build the mental toughness to actually go and accomplish your goal. I'm in the middle of a 75 hard challenge right now. It's Andy Frisella's program where what do you have to do? You've got to work out twice a day. Once a day is outside. They have to be at least 3 hours apart. You need to drink a gallon of water a day, stick to a diet, take a progress picture, no alcohol, no cheat days. If you cheat or miss any one thing, you got to start over from the beginning. and I like it. And it's not even that crazy hard, because the hardest thing that I had to do was when I broke my neck on my tour and I kept going. The key thing is that you're not always able to show up and do the same results as you got yesterday. This is where we often fall off the track. What happens in 75 hard? We want us to do 2 workouts a day. What happens if I get sick? What happens if I get a cold? What happens if I get jet lag? What happens if I didn't sleep very well the night before? What happens if I get food poisoning and I'm throwing up? What happens? I'm still gonna go do the workout. I'm still gonna do the workout. Will it be as good a workout as I did yesterday? No, it's gonna suck. But I said I was gonna do 45 minutes, so I'm gonna do 45 minutes. It's moving the brake line forward. Where do you give yourself a break? Where do you tell yourself, it's okay, I'm not gonna do it? Obviously, there are some extremes where you just break as a human, but for the most part, you could push a little bit more. You know, if you're at the edge and you're at the limit and you really need to rest and break, then rest and break. But that's 5% of the time. 95% of the time, the answer is actually you need to push harder. When everybody else would tell you to relax, to take it easy, to why are you doing these crazy things, when everybody else who has lower standards than you would say stop, you're gonna go and do one more. The trick is to show yourself that when you say you're gonna do something, you follow through. The whole point of Andy's 75 Hard program is not just to lose weight or get in better shape, it's the mental toughness, because you said you were gonna do something, do you follow through? When I broke my neck on my tour and I kept going, it's because I said I was gonna do it, and I wanted to at least give my max effort. If I couldn't do it, if I got pulled, then that's okay, because I tried my max effort. In fact, that happened. You know, when I broke my neck, it was the day of in Denver. I couldn't do the event because I'm in the hospital. My next event was in Kansas City, and I'm still struggling with a concussion. And I had to be pulled off the stage by my wife an hour and a half in. Normally it was going for 4 hours, 3-4 hours each event. And my wife pulled me off after an hour and a half because she could tell that I was not as functional as I should have been. And, you know, she was scared and didn't want me to go at all. I said, I want to at least try. I want to at least, if I can go for 20 minutes, then I'll do that, and then I'll be pulled. But I want to show myself that I do difficult things. The answer is to show yourself that you do difficult things. Consistently. Success is habits. So how do we make this practical? So think about, what are your goals? What do you want? What do you want? What do you want? Usually people look at relationships, they look at business or finances, and then look at health. So if you want to look at those 3 buckets, your relationships, you know, your significant other, are you married or you're not? Are you looking for somebody? Are you already in a relationship? What does a great relationship look like? Your health, and then your business or your career. All of those things are habits. If you want to improve your relationship, if you want to improve your health, buying flowers for your wife today doesn't mean you're going to have a great relationship for the rest of your life. Going to the gym for 5 hours today does not mean you're going to be in great shape. It's the consistent, it's the daily. And same thing for your business, going crazy, creating content, making videos, updating your website, doing calls, emails, whatever is next on your list for this week is not going to have a huge impact. It's what are you doing daily. So let's break this down. Think about the areas of your life. Step number 1. What are the areas of your life that you want to improve on? That you are not happy, you're not satisfied anymore with where you're at, and you want to grow, you want to get better, you want to improve. If you want to stick to relationships, health, and business, great. Otherwise, pick your own categories. But time to get specific. Number 2, think about who's done this. You don't have to go and do this all alone. You don't have to be a genius and figure it all out on yourself. This is why I created all of my channels, is because I want to model success. I want to learn from the people who've done the thing so that I can shortcut my path. I want to be able to learn from John Assaraf and Oprah Winfrey and Elon Musk and all these people. I want to learn because they've gone down a path that I haven't gone down yet, but I want to. And learning from them will shortcut my path. I used to be afraid to ask for help. It was one of the biggest mistakes that I made in my first company, was trying to figure it all out on myself and then feeling like a dummy because nothing was working. So in each area, in each goal that you've got, who is somebody who's done it? Who's somebody who's an expert? Who's somebody who's a genius? Who's somebody, especially if they're kind of like you, right? Where, you know, for me, I'm an introvert. And I really struggled with being an introvert because when I looked at all the people who were doing it, I saw a lot of people who didn't seem to be introverts. So how does an introvert go and make videos and speak on stage and be a public figure? Something I'm still figuring out, right? If that sounds like you can model my story and get to where I'm at a lot faster than the 20 years it took me, right? So you're finding those people who are like you, who've done it, so that it doesn't have to take you decades to get there. right? And then number 3 is you need to have them as part of your daily routine. So 1 is identify the areas you want to work on and get better at, be specific. 2 is find the people who've done it, either aspirational people that you can learn from, books, podcasts, YouTube, etc., or somebody you can hire who you can go meet with. But 3, this is the key. The key is it has to be consistent. It has to be consistent. Reading the same book every day is going to lose its mojo. Watching the same video back every day is going to lose its mojo. That's why I have so many channels with so much content, because there's always something for you. I want you to start your day with an espresso video every day, because if you do, it will shift. If you do this for 3 months, you will shift, you will get better, you will learn, you will be a different person by the end of 3 months. So it's thinking about, how do I make this part of my daily? How do you remind yourself of what your goals are, of who you want to be, and then be around the people consistently? So if you want to learn something like yoga, great, hire a yoga instructor. So now you've committed to somebody else doing it. If you want to have the mindset of a high achiever, great, subscribe to the YouTube channels that make you feel that way. Follow the people on Instagram that make you feel that way. Put things up in your office or in your bedroom that make you feel that way. Where with intention, while you feel motivated, bold, ambitious, courageous today, you're using that energy to then create sustainable habits so that you stay consistent and follow through. Because you felt bold, you felt motivated, you felt courageous in the past, and you didn't do anything about it the next day. Because we all start over the next day. This is a secret that nobody talks about. Everybody starts over the next day. Nobody wakes up, it's like, yes! It doesn't happen, you start over. But successful people have successful habits. That's the only difference between where you're at and where you want to be, is the successful habits, so that you stay consistent on following through on the goals that you say are important to you. So while you're watching this and feeling bold and motivated, what are the habits that you can include into your daily practice? So subscribe to the channels on YouTube that make you feel bold. Follow the people on Instagram that make you feel bold. Change up your physical environment. What's on the walls in your office, in your bedroom? What's on the background, on your cell phone, on your computer? Put in your calendar the things that you're going to do to move forward on the goals. And the more that you're around that consistently, the more you're actually going to follow through. Success is habits. You can accomplish whatever you want to accomplish if you actually take the time to make it consistent. We overvalue what we can do in the short run and massively, massively, massively undervalue what will happen to your life if you just did something every day for the next year. You've had big dreams, big goals that you've quit on. That imagine if you just, that goal you had 2 years ago, if you just did something every day, you'd be in a different spot right now. You'd be in a totally different spot right now if you just followed through on that every day. The point of that is not to make you feel bad. The point is that to use that as energy, as fuel, so that your goals right now, in 2 years, you're actually making progress on them instead of looking back and saying, I wish I was just consistent. Success is habits. Success is habits. Success is habits. You got this. Now it's time to stay consistent. Now I've got a special bonus clip that I think you're going to enjoy. But before that, it's time for the question of the day. I want to know, what was your single biggest takeaway from this video and your plan of action for the next week? When you watch a video and you just get motivated, the science says you have a 35% chance of actually following through. That, Believe Nation, is not enough. But when you create a specific plan of action, I write it down of what you're gonna do, that number jumps from 35% to 91% chance of you following through. And when you commit publicly to others, like leaving a comment with your plan down below, that number jumps to 95% chance of you following through. So I wanna know your single biggest takeaway from this video and your plan of action for the next week. Put it down in the comments below, and next week I will profile one of you.
Hey, this is John Assaraf, and do you love good books? I love to read because there's so much wisdom in books. You get to take somebody else's knowledge, skills, research, pay $15, $20, and you learn so much. Now, I'm reading this awesome book called Built to Serve. Find your purpose and become the leader you were born to be. And one of my new friends really smart guy, really great guy who serves a lot of people, Evan Carmichael, wrote it. And I'm going to read a little bit from chapter number 1. And I love this piece. And maybe it's because I just watched the series on TV on Michael Jordan, The Last Dance, which is really great, by the way, also. One of the things he says here is everybody has Michael Jordan talent at something. Everybody has a Michael Jordan talent at something. You just haven't found it yet. Or you have and you don't believe in yourself enough to go all in. To go all in, right? And you're a genius. I believe you're a genius. And so does he. You're amazing. You are not meant to live a photocopy of someone else's life. You were not created to wake up and do work that is below your capabilities. You have Michael Jordan level talent at something, and you need to uncover exactly what your purpose is and how you can serve and use the serve. So lots of pearls and gems and motivational pieces. Pick up Built to Serve. Evan Carmichael, rising star. I started eating organic food several years ago, not 100%, probably about 85%. I became a vegan 8.5 years ago, or so 9 years ago. Actually, in July, it'll be 9 years. So I eat a plant-based diet. And so why? Easier for digestion for me. Organic foods that have all the colors, the phytonutrients, reds, greens, yellows, blues, purples. I want all of the different phytonutrients that are alive. In my opinion and in my research, the more food that we eat that's alive, the more nutritionally dense it is for us with the vitamins, the minerals that we need, the fiber that we need for elimination, the probiotics that we need, the gut bacteria, the gut microbe has been studied for quite some time, but it really in the last 4 or 5 years, it's really been an explosion of people talking about your gut microbe, right? You've got obviously your brain, I guess the head honcho, but you've got your heart as well, and the intelligence of the heart and the brain part of it, but also your gut. And so if you're feeding your gut with prebiotics and probiotics, right, that gives your gut the ability, the trillions of cells in our body and the hundreds of millions hundreds of billions of gut bacteria, gives them the food that they need to do what they do. So are you focusing on your gut health? Setting goals is an intellectual and imagined exercise that your conscious brain, right? I'm going to show you one of the little brains today from the sitting here on my desk. Your conscious brain, left prefrontal cortex specifically, where you get to choose. What is it you would love to have your life be like? What is the imagination, of the ideal life that you'd like? He says everybody could do that. He says, but achieving goals happens as a result of having the right beliefs, perceptions, habits, attitudes at the non-conscious level, where all of the habits reside, part of the hippocampus part of your brain that drives your automatic behavior day in and day out, is what is going to determine whether you achieve those goals or not. He says using willpower to achieve goals is like using gunpowder. It's just a starter. Using resilience or using your imagination, those are all really good conscious abilities that anybody can use. He says, but if you don't develop the habits at the non-conscious level, which include your self-image for how you see your life, you're never going to achieve those goals. When I was 5, 6, 7 years old, I moved from Israel to Montreal. I spoke Hebrew, but not English or French. And for 2.5 years, I felt dumb. I felt like I wasn't smart enough and I wasn't good enough and I was made fun of as a kid. That led to me being involved in street gangs from the age of 12 to 16.
Wow. In Montreal?
In Montreal.
Wow.
We trafficked drugs from Florida. We did break-in entries. We had a little street gang, about 12 of us that just got into a lot of trouble. My path was either jail or the morgue, one of the two. And there's a lot of successful people that have that kind of a story for some strange reason. And at 19, I met a mentor. His name was Alan Brown. He was a real estate developer.
Still in Montreal?
No, this was I moved from Montreal after years of turbulence. I finally broke free and moved from Montreal to Toronto, which is about 350 miles.
Gotcha. In Canada still.
Canada, yeah. And May 1980, I took my real estate course. June 20th, 1980, I became licensed as a real estate agent. And the reason I did is I met a man the weekend before that my brother introduced me to, who was into personal development.
Yeah.
And he was into, Zig Ziglar and Dennis Waitley and Brian Tracy's, 35 years ago. And he introduced me to this world of the mind, introducing me to the world of changing my beliefs, changing my habits, changing my perceptions of first, who are you? And he really helped me see that, the spiritual greatness within everybody, the intelligence that's within everybody. He had me start with getting in touch with that. And it was very philosophical and didn't have the evidence that we have today on affirmations, visualization, meditation, mindfulness, subliminal programming, habit creation, and all of the different methodologies that we've all heard about, whether it was the astronauts that went to the moon initially that trained their brains, or the musicians that have, or the athletes that do. The science now is just so phenomenal on what is actually happening. And so as I was building my own companies, I built my companies by training my employees not on the skills that they needed, but on how spectacular they were as human beings. And the greatness was within them. And if they trained their brain to have the belief, that is, they may not have the skill or the know-how, but if you have the belief that I can, I will, I must.
You can build the habit.
You can build the habit. You can start to. If you think about this, I don't care if we asked any question on health, wealth, relationships, career, business, spirituality, we wanted to find the answer to something. We could Google it and within minutes have everything we want to know about it.
Tutorials, everything we need.
Tutorials, videos, audios, how to, step-by-step, blueprint, color coordinate, whatever you want. So our problem isn't how to. All the how-to exists. How to build a business exists. How to be a great lover exists. It all exists.
How to get in shape. Yes.
Right. So I wanted to focus on, how do I help more people take more of the action they know they should be and want to? We have this phenomenal brain, right? It's genius abilities. We can't figure out how to replicate it anywhere with billions of dollars, but we are getting some of the user's manual now. So when you feel fear, what should you do? I teach the first 2 exercises that I teach every one of our students. Number 1 is called Take 6, Calm the Circuits. So if you have this unpleasant, anxious, fearful emotion, energy in motion, right? And it's unpleasant and the brakes have gone on, if you just take 6 deep breaths in through your nose, out through your mouth like you're breathing through a straw, you will deactivate the stress response center, which means blood is going to go back to the left prefrontal cortex. The Einstein part of the brain can actually think through this problem, because what happens when the stress response center is activated, blood goes away from that into the fear response, so you have epinephrine, cortisol, adrenaline to be able to get you out of this situation. It's part of our instinctual brain, part of the reptilian brain. The first part of the brain that was developed was that, then the mammalian brain, the limbic system, then the neocortex, the thinking brain. So when our brain has this signal of, oh my God, you might get hurt, you might lose this, you might get in trouble, you might be embarrassed, ashamed, ridiculed, judged, etc., that part of the brain is going to get activated. So if you take 6 deep breaths first, calm down, calm the circuits first, then do exercise number 2 is called AYA, A-I-A. The first A is for awareness. What am I thinking right now? What am I feeling right now? What am I sensing right now? What is my behavior right now? So you thoughts, feelings, sensations, awareness of behavior. What's my intention right now? That's the I. Well, my intention is to move forward. I want to do this. Great. What's one very small action step that you can take? Now, the reason you want to take one small action step is one small action step your brain can handle. If it's one small step towards it, the threat response goes away. But if you focus on the end game right away, you're going to get that rush and that instant trigger of the fear response, stress response. So the first thing you want to do is learn how to manage your mindset and what you focus on. Learn how to manage your emotions because they drive your behavior more than anything else. Because we move away from pain and we move towards pleasure, but we move away from pain 1,000 times faster. And pain wires in the brain faster for survival mechanisms. So purely from a neuroscience perspective, just understanding self, once you understand, oh, okay, this feeling is normal, okay, what should I do? Take 6 calm the circuits, Aya, and now you can start being progressive and make progress towards what you want. Are you interested in achieving that vision for your life? Are you interested in achieving those goals, or are you committed? Are you interested or are you committed? And I didn't know what the difference really was at the time. And so I asked him, Mr. Brown, what's the difference? And he said to me, he says, if you're interested, you'll do what's convenient. If you're interested, you'll use the fact that you didn't like school and you didn't do well in school to control your thinking and your self-esteem. He said, if you're interested, you'll come up with stories and excuses why you can't achieve those goals and dreams that you shared with me. You'll come up with stories and excuses as to why you don't want to do the work necessary to grow and to learn what you need to learn. He says, however, if you are committed, he says, you will do whatever it takes. You will upgrade your knowledge, you'll upgrade your skills, you'll become who you need to become, and you'll learn from whoever you need to learn to be able to achieve those goals and dreams. So, lesson number 1 is no matter what goal or vision you have, ask yourself that question, okay? Are you interested in achieving that goal and dream? Or are you really, really, really committed and willing to do whatever it takes? In many cases with adults, we have to unlearn
what we learned in the past.
What we learned in the past. And one of my friends wrote a really good book. He says, what got you here won't get you there. So if
I love that.
Yeah, if you want to achieve another result that you've never achieved before.
Who is he?
Marshall Goldsmith.
Okay, I see.
Yeah. And wonderful, wonderful man. And so if we want to achieve another result that we've never achieved before, then we have to become somebody different. We have to upgrade our skills. We have to upgrade our behaviors. We have to master our emotions better because we're going to meet resistance.
Yes.
And we don't like change. The human brain and body doesn't like change. I've said for 30 years now, the only human being that likes change is a baby with a wet diaper.
Yeah.
That's the only human being that likes change. Everybody else likes, I like everything just the way it is.
Yeah.
And so, and as we get older, it becomes harder and harder to change because the patterns in the brain are so strong. If you think about an oak tree,
yes.
and if you looked underneath the ground to the root system, it's connected to all the other oak trees, maybe for miles around, all interconnected.
So it's hard to change.
It's hard to change it because you can pull the oak tree, but you still have all the roots that are connected. And if you had a little baby tree that's maybe been there for 1 year, it's much easier to go in and pull the tree out and take the root system out. And so as we get older, we become more and more conditioned to be more and more the same. So it's not that change isn't possible. It's most people aren't willing to commit to switching from what's comfortable to what's not long enough for the new to be comfortable. While you're in the, what am I thinking, feeling, it's a chance to be aware. And the biggest gift we have as human beings is our awareness. Because awareness is what gives you choice. and choice is what gives you freedom. Most people are living their lives in a reactive state, automatic reactive state, because of these set points that we started talking about. So we're in this repetitive cycle over and over and over and over. We react to the same things, we behave the same way, we eat the same foods, we dress the same way, just to maintain that homeostasis and comfort zones. And we've never been taught. Like when were we taught as kids? Like, here are your 6 core emotions. Here's the way you deactivate your stress center or fear center. Here's how you activate your imagination center. Here's how you have more focus. Here's how you develop a new belief. Here's how you develop a new habit. Here's how you release one. We haven't been taught that. We've been told they're important things, but we haven't been given the tools, and then we haven't practiced the tools enough to be able to make them part of our unconscious competence brain. We started to retrain our agents' brains after we did an event. 75 agents paid, I think it was $2,000 or $3,000 to go through a 6-month brain retraining program. Those 75 agents increased our sales by $100 million.
Wow.
And we said, okay, we're going to teach this to the entire company.
Yeah.
So we went from $1.2 billion to $4.5 billion in sales a year in 3 years by working on this versus what they needed to do. What you'll see is just patterns, patterns and more patterns. The entire universe is made up of patterns that could be explained mathematically for the most part, but we can also just see behaviors. And so it's not difficult, but it takes effort to be able to override some of the natural brain's propensity, the brain's desire to keep us away from hurting ourselves.
To re-educate our brain.
Yeah. And if you think about, when we're young, what do our parents do? Oh, be careful. Oh, don't fall down. Oh, watch out how you ride the bicycle. And if you fall down, well, my kids, when they were young, I let them fall and I let them do things so that they would get accustomed to get up. I wouldn't go and baby them. Yes. They'd fall down. It was like, great, you fell down, get back up.
Because they learn that it's okay.
Yeah, most kids, when they fall down, they'll look at an adult to see, well,
is it okay or not?
Is it okay or not? And usually the adults are either going to baby them and overcompensate, or they're going to look at them and say, come on, get up and do what you need to do. Think about, what is a belief? And let's go to, again, I just like to go to the neuroscience field because just my passion now, is a belief is nothing more than a group of cells that have been connected and then reinforced. And we have 2 types of beliefs. We have beliefs that
Really fast, I'm going to stop you there because that's so important.
Okay. Yeah.
And so different than I would have expected. I think when people hear belief, it is believe in something that is true, which did not enter into your definition.
No, we believe, whatever we believe is truth for us, but it's not the truth.
That's really interesting.
Right, but we have been conditioned, if we go back a little bit to what we talked about earlier about, when you were a baby, when you were born, what belief did you have? 0, right. Goose egg, 0, not 1. And so you learned what to believe and how to even formulate your beliefs, chances are from parents, teachers, brothers, sisters, television, maybe when you read some books, right? And we behave based on what we believe. So we might be behaving our lives away based on false or inaccurate or disempowering beliefs. So if a belief is a neural pattern in the brain, then we probably have some good ones, empowering ones, useful ones, and chances are we have some that are not useful, not empowering, and not worthy of the geniuses that we all are. So the question is it possible for me to develop new beliefs that I don't believe right now? Well, the key factors to becoming a loser.
Let's imagine that together we build a training to help people
to become a loser.
Yeah.
Repeatedly thinking, feeling, and doing the wrong things every day.
Okay, great things.
Yeah.
Okay, do you have another one?
Hanging around with the wrong people. Your environment.
Is it working?
Your environment shapes who you are.
Okay.
Very, very much. When I was getting into trouble as a young man, the people that I was hanging around with were also getting into trouble. When I was a little boy, I remember my father, he used to tell me, he says, show me who your friends are, and I'll tell you who you are.
Yeah.
And so you're going to be the sum of the people that you invest the most amount of time with. Whether it's at home, your friends, your family, or your business people. So if you tend to be around winners, you'll start to, by sheer environmental factors, listen and learn how they think. You'll be able to observe what they do. You'll learn the skills that they've acquired. And if you hang around with losers, you'll see patterns. Everything in life is about a pattern. And so people who are unsuccessful and losers, which I don't even like to use the term loser, although there are some, not a lot, they have got habitual patterns of destruction, self-sabotaging thoughts and self-sabotaging behaviors. And people who are successful, and I don't mean just financially, people who are successful in their health, their relationships, charitable contributions, they have consistent, successful patterns that are constructive towards being successful. After I got into real estate and I traveled the world, I ended up buying the franchising rights for Remax for the state of Indiana. And I was 26 years old.
Wow.
And I bought the franchising rights for Indiana, moved to Indiana. Wow. And I remember being interviewed for the Indianapolis Business Journal. And the guy said, what are your goals here in Indiana? 26 years old, I was wearing, I remember a brown pinstripe suit. I had glasses on, even though I didn't need glasses. I just wanted to look older. And I said, we'll do $1 billion in sales in Indiana. And the gentleman said to me, says, are you certain of that? I said, well, that's my goal. He says, well, the two largest companies that have been here for 100 years don't do $100 million, $1 billion combined. And my cocky young self, I said, well, we'll be the first. He's like, what? 3 weeks later, the Indianapolis Business Journal, and I have it at home, it says, sets $1 billion goal.
Wow.
May 1992, we hit $1 billion in sales 5 years later. One of the things that I was taught playing sports was repetition is the mother of skill. Repetition is the mother of skill, which is another lesson that I learned at a very young age. Why does any piano coach, guitar coach, coach for sports have their students repeat drills over and over and over and over again, whether it's layups or free throws or playing, certain chords on the guitar or on the piano? Why is repetition so important? The answer is because when you repeat a pattern over and over and over again, whether it's a language pattern, an emotional pattern, or a behavioral pattern, when you repeat it over and over and over and over again, 20 times, 50 times, 100 times, 200 times, 500 times, 1,000 times, you actually are creating patterns in the brain that initially go from being conscious patterns, patterns that require effort and intention and attention, your conscious mind, to patterns that become non-conscious, that require less energy and less attention because it's been repeated so many times it becomes second nature. So you have to use intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. So you have to start everybody off, well, why is it important for you to be able to develop these new beliefs? Like, what will your life be like if you had them right now? What would your family life be like? You have to give them a benefit that's greater than the switch cost.
That's interesting.
Right? So the switch cost is something that our brain resists. The only human that likes change is a wet baby. Every other human being is resistant to it because safety first and homeostasis, and energy conservation. So we are biologically wired not to want to change. So we have to deliberately coax the brain into motivational reasons, emotional reasons. You have to have intrinsic reason. Why must you do this? And so you can use pain as a frame as well. So if you don't, then are you okay with your life being like this at this age in 5 years, in 10 years, in 20 years? And if you're okay with that, then you're not a candidate for change. But if you're committed to letting go of the old so you can create the new, and you create motivations every day, that's where the power is. Remember earlier, progress, not perfection. So anybody can do 1 minute or 10 seconds. So if you can start to formulate a habit, a daily habit, a weekly habit, it doesn't matter how long it is. If you can create that space in your brain that on this day, at this time, this is what I do, and you do that repeatedly, that becomes a habit. And it takes those 66 days or so for a simple habit that you have to consciously do to then the habit doing you. For the last, 35 years, what I've been doing is I've had coaches for skill training. I've had coaches and mentors for mindset training. I've had coaches on brain training. I've had coaches for business skills and training. I've had coaches and mentors and experts for every different area of my life, whether it's health, nutrition, business, money, investing, getting out of debt, making more money, protecting your assets. There are experts for every single area of our lives that already know what you need to do.
A lot of people are stressed right now. Why? Text, phone, mobile, radio, TV, Facebook, Twitter, all this. It's just non-stop stress in the brain. And when the brain feels stressed, then obviously cortisol, epinephrine, norepinephrine kick in, and that's a stress hormone. Well, it's like having, your finger on the electricity button all day long and you're just not stopping. So you start to burn the fibers, your nerves.
If you're going to be uncomfortable, your reward has to be big.
Yeah, I think so.
So if you're going to be making a change, ask yourself, why is what I want to achieve so important to me? Why am I willing to use my new willpower and persistence? And why am I willing to go through the discomfort of change? Why am I willing to, listen to the negative talk that I have or the emotion that I have and still do it anyway? And if you don't have a big enough reason, the first time you have a chance for an excuse, you'll take it. And that's why they start on diets, and after a day or a week or 2 weeks, they're off the diet. Or they say, you know what, I'm not happy in my relationship. And 2 weeks later, they're back with the same person, or they find another person just like the one that they left. Or people are afraid to leave their jobs because they don't like the discomfort of change.
Yeah.
Well, the only certain thing in the universe, the only constant is change.
Yeah, every time, change.
Everything, that's the only constant in the universe. It's an oxymoron. It's like, how can change be the only constant, the only stable thing? Because everything's changing. So why not acquire the skill
to change every time?
To be comfortable in change. And in today's era...
To be comfortable with the incomfort.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, and so I know that the meaning that I give, remember I said you have to reframe things?
Yes.
The meaning I give things now is when I'm uncomfortable, I'm changing and I'm growing and I go, yeah.
Yeah, it's perfect.
It's uncomfortable, but this is what I want.
Yeah.
Right? And then so we go through these waves of comfort and change, and that's just like the waves of life.
Every morning when you wake up, you have, let's say it's 10 attention units. If you're using 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 of them on why you can't,
unit? What do you
an
mean?
attention unit is your ability to stay focused. And your ability to stay focused is happening at the conscious and non-conscious level. So if you're processing stuff in the back of your mind of something you're angry at, something you're mad at, something that's stressing you out, or you don't have enough money, or you don't have the right relationships or the contacts or whatever, if you're stressing out about that stuff and that's eating up your attention units, that's like having your computer, using up most of its energy in what's behind that you're not using.
Yeah.
And we all have a certain amount of attention units every day. And so one of the things that you asked me before that I can come back to on the rituals is using the attention units in a way that is highly, highly productive versus wasting a lot of time. And so my ritual, we started earlier, I just remembered that, is wake up, meditation, exercise, plant-based protein smoothie, followed by reviewing my goals.
Every day you review your goals.
Every day, 5 minutes.
The goals for the day, the month, the year.
Everything.
Yeah.
I review my overarching goals. And I could do that fairly quickly because that's my longer range goals. I can review the emotions that I want because I'm committed to having those emotions every day and feeling a certain way every day. And then I take a look at from 5 years out, 3 years, 1 year, 90 days, 60 days to today.
Wow.
And so I just review it. And what
Give it on a
happens?
piece of paper, the iPad,
Laminated and on my
laminated.
computer.
Really?
Yeah. And I have it in a booklet also.
Really?
So when I travel, it's really easy.
Do you have it with you?
No. It's a pretty big.
Gotcha.
Yeah. It's like a little manual.
You'll have to send me a photo so I can see it.
Yeah, I'll send you. It's called My Exceptional Life Blueprint.
I like it.
And so the question many people may ask is why? Why would you do that? Well, because you're having 35 to 50,000 thoughts a day. Right? And your brain isn't certain like what's really important and what's not. Yeah. But if you instruct your brain that something is really important, whether it's something you don't want or something you do, it will actually pay attention to you.
Right.
So by priming my brain early every day, here is what I want you to focus on. Here are the emotions I want you to express through me. Here's the behaviors that I need to take. Then I am on a daily basis setting the course for what I want my brain to focus on. I'm cognitively priming the pump. And if I do it one day, that's great. If I do it 60 days, 100 days, my brain goes, hey, I'm just going to make this automatic because I want to conserve energy. Right? I'm just going to make it automatic. So not only will you focus on it consciously, but I'm just going to make everything happen behind the scenes to help you see, think, and feel things that are congruent with what you're trading your life for and what you want to achieve. So I'm just using the system better. On my epitaphs, he lived, he loved, he gave, he had fun. I always thought that if there's a way that I could somehow use my life in a way that I can make somebody else's life a little bit easier to live, either through knowledge or understanding or love or a process, then my life has been worthwhile. And so I just want to make a difference. And I'm one of the people that doesn't believe that there's anything wrong in the world. Everything's unfolding exactly as it should. There are many things not to my taste that I don't understand, but I just want to make the journey as good as I can for as many people as I can. There was actually a very, very big mistake in the movie The Secret.
Okay.
And in the movie The Secret, the story that was told was that all you have to do is think, believe in your heart, and you'll achieve. It's not true. There's a lot of people who think wonderful, great thoughts. They believe that I deserve this and I can have this. But they don't do one thing. And this is what causes their problem. You know what that one thing is?
I want to know.
They don't take consistent action every day. So in The Secret, they didn't talk about you have to do the right things in the right order at the right time. And they led a lot of people to believe that all you have to do is think about it. Well, I've never met a monk in a monastery who's been praying to make money, and through the ceiling, a safe falls with $1 million. I've never met that yet. But I have met a lot of people who think and believe, and then they learn what they need to learn. They upgrade their knowledge and their skills. They overcome their fears. They overcome their doubts. They overcome their lack of confidence. They overcome their lack of certainty, and they take action anyway, and then little by little, things start to happen for them. They achieve the results. And we call that the law of Goya, G-O-Y-A. Get off your... So law of attraction.
It's my favorite law.
Law of attraction and law of Goya together, that's what works.
When it comes to the problems that come up every day, I mean, it's like weather. Mm-hmm. It's sunny for a little bit. It's raining. It's hailing. It's windy. It's not. That's life. And that goes back to where we started a little bit earlier about the frames, is if you expect things to always be great, you're delusional. Mm-hmm. If you expect things to always be bad, that may be a little bit, that might happen. And so it's a matter of learning the frames and how do you frame stuff. So even when, I was going through this challenging times on a lot of fronts, the frame was still good.
We are all creatures of Habit, because habits run themselves. Their subconscious programs just run themselves. Most people don't take the time to become aware, what are my empowering habits? What are my disempowering habits? And then the next question is, well, how do I release this one? And how do I strengthen this one or create a whole new one? And what we're looking to do is build empowering habits that then run their course. When somebody tells me they've done everything, usually they've done everything that they're aware of doing. But there has to be something, if we go back to some brain research and some brain neuroscience findings, there's a part of the brain that chooses the goal that we want to achieve. And that's in the conscious part of the brain, and that's responsible for about 2 to 4% of what you see and what you do.
Yeah.
That's called the explicit memory system, or the declarative part of the brain. I can declare. So I'll give you an example. I could read a book.
Yeah.
And 10 minutes later, I could tell you what I've read in the book. I can declare everything that's in the book. I can tell you, you know what, this is a great book. I'm so excited. I'm so motivated. And I'm going to make $1 million. But if at the implicit level, at the beneath the conscious mind, at the implicit level, in secret, they say, I don't know if I'm good enough. I don't know if I'm smart enough. I don't know if I deserve to make $1 million. I don't have the right knowledge. I didn't go to college. I'm male, I'm female, I'm too young, I'm too old. If there's a disconnect between the implicit, the part of our brains that's the real you and me, the hidden part of our self-image, if there is a contradiction between my goal and even what I've learned and what I secretly believe to be true about myself, if there isn't the coherence between the two, the hidden self-image will always win. So one of the most important things is to create what I call is neural coherence, or coherence in the brain. And the best way to think about coherence in the brain is, imagine if you go to listen to a band, rock and roll band, jazz band, a classical band, whatever. And every player, or every musician is playing the music, but not in harmony.
Yeah, new style.
You're never going to have a beautiful symphony. So the way our brain works is, if we don't have the symphony at the different parts of the brain, we'll do some good things and some good actions, and then we'll do some things that will take away from that. And so what we want to have is coherence. Get the brain, the implicit and the explicit part of the brain, coherence, playing together in harmony, then moves the body into action consistently. Now we have flow. Now we have a way for us to take our ideas and take action consistently to achieve results. An hour a day to upgrade your mindset and your skill set. 1 hour a day is all you need to set aside to upgrade your beliefs, your habits, your attitude, your perceptions, your emotional management, and upgrade the skills that you need in order to play at the next level of success. So if you calculate 1 hour a day is 365 hours in a year, that equals 9 40-hour weeks. 9 40-hour weeks. After 1 year, you're really good. After 2 years, you're really, really good. After 3, 4, 5, 6 years of doing this every day, just upgrading your knowledge and skills with expert information and knowledge and strategies and tactics, you are in a whole different place in your life. So invest 1 hour a day to upgrade your mindset and your skill set, so your action set, what you need to do, becomes automatic instead of something you have to consciously try to do every day. Because mindset plus skill set plus action set equals your results.
I've just come through a really challenging time. I was in business with one of my very best friends of 30 years, and we started a company together in 2006 or so. And he ended up with severe diabetes and had a stroke and had a heart attack. And it went, everything just went in a handbasket. Lost lots of money, lots of employees. We had about 70 plus employees. We let them go, closed the company down. I had friends of mine who put $2 million into the deal. I put a couple $1 million into the deal. And it was, all my intellectual property that I developed over 6 years was basically held up in a legal lawsuit that I had with one of my shareholders and investors. And it was a very challenging time.
Wow.
It was reputation, IP, start from scratch.
Assets, relationships, everything.
Yeah, lots. So it was a challenging, very, very challenging time. And fortunately, because of, my meditative practices, staying aware of what is, not buying too much into that, I just started building a new company over the last 4 years, and I've got 30 amazing team members now at our company at NeuroGym. My relationship with my wife is great. My kids are awesome. My health has never been better. I became vegan about 5 years ago. Stopped drinking alcohol 7 years ago. Gave up sugar about 3 weeks ago.
Let me know how long you keep it up.
I made a decision now. It's a year. So the
1 year, no sugar.
1 year. 1 year, no refined sugar.
sweets. Yeah.
No refined sugar. If there happens to be honey on, on something, then a little bit's fine. But no refined sugar. No cookies, no cakes, no chocolate bars, no soft drinks, nothing. Well, right now I don't have any cravings whatsoever. Wow. Zero.
Wait till the holidays.
Zero. You know what? I just came back from Montreal, and I was there for the holidays, and the dessert table was about as big as this, and I just said no. And a week before, actually 4 days before that, I was in Las Vegas at Encore at the buffet, and I actually took a video of everything that was there, and I said, now, what I did beforehand is I pre-committed. Before I went to Las Vegas, I said, now, when I go to the buffet, here's what I will do. When I go to this restaurant, here's what I will do. So I pre-committed in advance, played it over in my mind 10, 15, 20 times, put myself in the situation in my mind. And then when I was there, it was
no
easy, breezy, because I'd done it
you visualized
10, 20, 30 times.
Beautiful.
So I did that. And so when I went to Montreal, usually I go to Montreal and all goes loose. My mother, is always been
every day. She's
not anymore. But my sister's taken over.
Oh yeah.
So the the food that's there and the desserts that are there, breakfast
there too. I love poutine.
Oh yeah,
So
you can go
good.
dessert. But the desserts for me was the hardest part. But it was like easy breezy.
I own my feelings and my emotions and my results. I own my feelings, my emotions, and my results. I learned how to be responsible, to be able to respond to emotions that are unpleasant, to feelings that are, yucky. I learned that whatever was happening in my world, I had the ability to upgrade my skill so that I can use everything that happens in a way that serves me as opposed to a way that hurts me or moves me back. Any conflicts that you are experiencing is going to create neural dissonance in your brain. It's just going to create chaos in your brain. And so if you take it out of your head and you put it on a sheet of paper, you can look at it, and now you're one step removed from what's happening in your brain. And so the more you can be in coherence, it's the equivalent of being part of a band that's in harmony, that every player is just like, oh man, this just sounds so good. Well, the more you can be in coherence, the more you're going to be in flow, and the more you're going to take action, the more chaos there is in the brain, neural chaos, whether it's because of emotions, you're lacking something, there's conflict, there's resistance, the more you can get it out into the, in front of you and open and say, well, what's causing this? The easier it is for that Einstein brain to say, okay, well, maybe I could do this, maybe I can do that, but I can also call a friend or a mentor or a coach, or I can research it. There's a misconception that business is easy. And I have a lot of clients of mine, for example, that are doctors and lawyers and professionals that have an expertise in a certain area, but nobody's ever taught them about finance, about legal, if they're not a lawyer, about marketing, about sales,
management,
about technology, about operations, about management. And being an entrepreneur is like solving a Rubik's Cube.
Yes, I see that.
Right? So you can have the 2x2 with two colors, it's easy. If you want a little bit bigger business, that's 3x3. There's more combinations and more things that need to be considered. 4x4 now has billions of different moves. Just 4x4 is billions of different possibilities.
Wow.
When you get to the 8x8 or 16x16 Rubik's Cube, there's quintillions of possible moves that you can make. So building a business is all about recognizing patterns and knowing which move to make at the right time. And there's 4 options that you have. One is do it yourself and try and figure it out. 2 is get help. 3, get it done for you. Or 4, don't do it. A lot of people ask me about money all the time. It's one of the things we teach people how to do is grow their businesses and how to make more money. And they say, well, I want to make more money. I said, well, in order to make more money, first you have to believe that you can, right? Then you have to believe you deserve it. Then you have to make sure that you have something that you can earn money with. So it's either going to be your ideas. You can sell your ideas. You can sell, like a trainer. You can sell your time. You can sell your products. You can sell your services, which means that you have to have some skill. Or you have to have somebody else who could do it for you.
You have to see your skill, right?
Well, you have to either see your skill or determine what skills are needed.
Okay.
And if you don't have it, get somebody else who has it to help you. And so when somebody tells me I want to make more money, I say to them, let's say we have a pen. I don't have a pen here, but if we had a pen,
yes,
and we wanted to make money, we could go and find somebody who wants to buy this pen right now. And how much is somebody willing to pay for the pen? Well, if the pen is worth $1, maybe you can get $1 for it. But what about finding somebody who needs it because they have to sign a contract that's due in 10 minutes? That person might pay $100 for that pen.
Yeah.
So our job is to take, our skills, our knowledge, our products, our services, our abilities, and to be able to present it to people who need it and want it in exchange for money.
If you want another amazing John Assaraf video, check it out right there next to me. I think you'll love it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.
We developed a process called the 5R process. And the first R stands for
you retrain your brain one small decision at a time.
And you've got to have meaningful goals.